Right now, IT leaders everywhere are wrestling with a massive headache. We're talking about the fundamental challenge of balancing the absolute need for rapid digital automation with the non-negotiable demand for rigorous security and compliance. It's a tricky tightrope walk, and honestly, it's defining the modern enterprise.
So here's the big question. How do you actually automate highly complex, deeply integrated workflows without accidentally opening the door to security threats? It's literally a tug of war. On one side, you've got this intense pressure for business agility. You know, the drive to move faster, do more, scale up. But on the exact opposite side, you have the absolute necessity of data safety and regulatory compliance. And you really can't afford to compromise on either.
Well, enter Bizagi. In this explainer, we are going to unpack this powerful, cloud-native digital business platform designed to solve exactly this tension. Bizagi essentially bridges the gap between IT departments and everyday business users by providing highly scalable process automation. You can kind of think of it like an air traffic controller. It ensures everyone is working toward common goals, moving quickly but securely within a very governed framework.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Simplifying complex workflows. 2. Enterprise security architecture. 3. Regulatory compliance standards. 4. Disaster recovery strategies. And finally, 5. Vulnerability management policies.
Section 1. Simplifying complex workflows. Speed meets scale.
Okay, let's look at the highly regulated healthcare sector to see what this speed actually looks like in practice. Because we aren't just talking about minor tweaks here. Implementing Bizagi's automation drove a massive 75% faster case resolution. Imagine that, cutting down patient wait times and heavy administrative backlogs by 3/4, simply by streamlining how data moves through the organization.
And it gets better, because this seamlessly scaled up to support 5,000 global employees. By fully automating paper processes and routine tasks, the platform totally freed up clinical staff from all that tedious manual data entry, which means highly trained medical professionals are spending way less time staring at spreadsheets and far more time actually diagnosing and treating patients. That is a huge win.
Now you might be wondering, how do they actually pull that off? Well, by using visual process modeling. It features this really intuitive drag-and-drop interface paired directly with real-time analytics. This lets organizations easily design, visualize, and standardize their operations from the top down. Because the entire workflow is visible, stakeholders can instantly spot and eliminate bottlenecks. It just takes the mystery completely out of complex processes.
Section 2. Enterprise security architecture. Defense in depth.
So, speed is fantastic, right? But how do we protect these rapidly moving workflows? Because if your data gets exposed, you've got a major crisis on your hands. Bizagi uses a defense-in-depth strategy. Think of it like a medieval fortress. Instead of just putting one strong lock on the front door, they use multiple, overlapping layers of protection, things like network intrusion detection systems and web application firewalls. If a threat somehow breaches the outer wall, it just gets trapped by the next isolated layer.
And down at the user level, things are locked up tight. Every single access point is strictly authenticated using industry heavyweights like SAML and OAuth, meaning the system absolutely verifies exactly who is logging in, and of course that's paired with two-factor authentication. Plus, your customer data is heavily encrypted both while it's traveling across the network and while it's sitting safely at rest in backups. It's incredibly locked down.
Section 3. Regulatory compliance standards. Global and local.
Now, having robust security is great, but proving it to strict auditors, that's a whole different ballgame. The platform meticulously checks the boxes on the highest global standards. They hold an ISO 27001 certification, and whether you're navigating strict patient privacy under HIPAA or you're enforcing personal data protection under Europe's massive GDPR laws, this architecture is specifically built to keep you compliant.
And for U.S. government agencies, it holds the highly coveted FedRAMP Moderate certification. Maintaining this crazy rigorous level of ongoing reporting proves that the platform is fully trusted to handle the absolute most sensitive public sector workflows, all while operating securely in a dedicated government cloud. Section 4. Disaster recovery strategies. Expecting the unexpected.
Okay, let's talk about the worst-case scenarios. What happens when a massive regional power grid fails or a natural disaster hits? Bizagi offers two main recovery options. The first is a full replica, which gives you a lightning-fast recovery time objective of up to just 3 hours. The second option is an on-demand database build with an 18-hour turnaround. But here is the real kicker. Both options guarantee a 5-minute recovery point objective.
Literally, the maximum amount of data you could ever lose is just 5 minutes worth.
They pull this off by using an active-passive architecture, and this is crucial. The secondary recovery site is deliberately located at least 300 miles away from your primary region. That geographic redundancy ensures that a localized disaster, say a massive hurricane, cannot possibly take down both your active primary site and your passive standby site at the exact same time.
If a disaster does strike, a very strict incident response flow kicks in. Step 1, immediate detection and assessment. Step 2, a formal declaration and customer notification within just 1 hour. And Step 3, the immediate activation of the failover plan, seamlessly redirecting all your traffic to that secondary region to get your services back online fast.
Now, even if you are just relying on high availability instead of paying for a completely separate disaster recovery site, Bizagi still offers really powerful service-level agreement guarantees. Standard availability sits at an impressive 99.95%, but for high-consumption enterprise users, that scales up to a massive 99.99% SLA, so your baseline resilience is exceptionally high no matter what.
Section 5. Vulnerability Management Policies. Continuous Testing.
Finally, how does the platform proactively squash security flaws before they become an actual nightmare? They follow a strict vulnerability disclosure policy using standard CVSS severity scores, which is basically an industry grading system for software bugs. If a critical vulnerability pops up, Bizagi patches it in the current version and the 2 prior versions immediately. Minor flaws, those just get rolled right into the next major update. It's a highly transparent, systematic approach to keeping code secure.
They also actively welcome ethical hackers and independent testing, which is fantastic for community security. But as you'd expect, they have very firm rules of engagement to protect active customers from disruption. You absolutely cannot launch denial of service attacks, you have to provide a clear proof of concept, and you are strictly forbidden from accessing any data that isn't yours. It's all about finding those flaws responsibly.
Ultimately, Bizagi is committed to resolving vulnerabilities not just for the folks using their platform, but for the broader technology community as a whole. By engaging ethical hackers and adhering to these massive global standards, they create an incredibly resilient platform. So, I will leave you with this final thought. In a landscape full of constant, evolving cyber threats, are your core business processes built on a foundation of continuous monitoring and lasting reliability? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.